I'm Matt Sowden, and this is COM 11082. Okay, so about a week ago, I was browsing Facebook looking at funny pictures of cats when I happened to come across a message from a good friend of mine that read, "LOL, I hate my computer so much." And that had about a dozen likes and some comments reading about similar things and similar issues that people had with their computers. My first reaction as the geek that I was to respond, "It's because you're using Windows." But then I thought to myself that this unnamed individual would probably not even get what I was talking about. You all use Microsoft Windows here, right? Well, except some of you that use Apple computers. But you all know what I'm talking about when I say, the blue start button, the bottom left, the little Firefox, Chrome, or E icon that takes you to Facebook and Gmail. And not to mention Word, PowerPoint to type up those essays and speeches. And you say, "Yeah, Matt, I use a computer." Where have you been, under a rock? And I bet everyone here can also agree with me that computers are slow. And in fact, they can be so slow they can be aggravating to even turn on. And I mean, you're thinking to yourself, sure, it sucks, but if it's not my slow Windows, then I have to buy an Apple computer that's $2,000, and I don't have $2,000. But, so you're stuck, right? No. It's actually a free alternative to Windows that you can literally go out or go home to wherever you live and download to your computer right now. No charge, no hassle, and it looks pretty. It's called Ubuntu, and it's an operating system that runs in place of Windows. It's not an app, and it's not an application. It doesn't run like there's a little icon you click on your desktop and it opens Ubuntu. It actually runs instead of Windows.
Okay.
It's nice. It has a clean experience to it, and while you're using the computer, it'll still be compatible with anything that runs on Windows. Some assembly required. Now, before I jump into the nitty-gritty and get up all in your face about why you should dump Windows and Microsoft like that prom date, let me start off with what Ubuntu is. Ubuntu is made by a company known as Kinoko. It's also backed by a group of people that live on the internet that are part of a community that's called open source. Now, when I say open source, that means that the code and all the wonderful things that make the system what it is contributed by and is managed and run by people who aren't paid to do it. It's actually out there. You could go out there and look at the code, even if you don't understand what it means, and see what makes the operating system tick. Ubuntu is made off of a free software, a free kernel, in fact. It's based off of things that are run off of Macs called Linux. Now, Linux is a very scary word in business, so I'm not going to say it too often. But Linux is basically a system that's developed by a guy named Linus Torvalds, hence the name Linux, that is used in place of software that costs money and it's made by software houses that expect a royalty whenever you use it. Ubuntu came about, it's actually a really funny story. Ubuntu came about by the need to have a computer that wasn't slow, aggravating, and hard to turn on when you had 5,000 viruses and your email application open before you could open Gmail or Facebook and read your text or posts. But it came about for the fact that someone wanted a better experience when they turned on their computer instead of having to wait through several thousand loading screens just to play a game. Now, that's all well and fine, but the prospect of making a complete switch to something that you may or may not be quite familiar with is a little daunting to some people, and it's not really someone's cup of tea. But, so let's not beat around the bush and actually talk about what makes Ubuntu worth mentioning in the first place. Ubuntu in and of itself is, well, I said it's worked on by everyone, or not everyone, but people in the community that don't need to be paid in order to work on it. So porting things over from Windows to Ubuntu is actually worked on by people who want things to be ported from Windows to Ubuntu. So, for example, Microsoft Office has a port, or for example, a port is a translation from one system to another. Office has a translation called OpenOffice, which is similar to Microsoft Windows and Microsoft PowerPoint, but is open source and is used for Linux instead of Windows. Programs that do these kind of translations and ports can take a Word document that you make in Word and open it in their application with basically the same results. Ubuntu in and of itself, the interface is very clean cut, and it's very, while it might be a little bit different from Windows, it's very easy on the eyes and it's very interesting to get used to. If you look at this is an example of what Ubuntu looks like if you look behind me. One of them is the Windows startup actually, that you all know and love, the little start bar at the bottom, the little Windows media player, and above it is the Ubuntu startup, where you can see that the little start bar at the bottom is actually going across the side. And the little start icon is replaced with the icon for Ubuntu itself. It's a different way of actually displaying the system, and it really goes to show you how innovative people can be. Yeah, innovative in the sense of making the taskbar on the left side, so the way I understand. But it's definitely something that shows that if you take the open source people and you push it out to them, instead of having it being developed by people who are paid to do it and maybe not like their job. I know for one, I don't like going in every morning. It goes to show what people can do when they actually want to do it instead of are paid to do it. Now, it's all snazzy stuff to think about, and that's for sure. But I can tell some people are still quite troubled by the fact of letting go of a platform that's developed and maintained by a corporation. People that are paid to listen to you, call them up on your phone and go, Microsoft? Yeah, your things aren't working and I'm not happy. Believe it or not, those fears aren't unjustified. And I'm not going to call you names for thinking otherwise. Ubuntu, at this moment of time, isn't necessarily for everyone. Being the fact that it's open source, it's not necessarily something that you, like I said, should go and download and switch all of your everything and go, hey guys, I'm using Ubuntu and it rocks. There's some assembly required to it. I can actually tell you many horror stories that have happened by just trying to get myself on a video game. It took me at least 4 hours to install a driver that I needed in order for my graphics card to work. It's not really all that pretty behind the scenes. It's really pretty up front. You can look at it. It's gorgeous. But when you actually need to get down into the bit that requires you to make the computer run like a computer that you use every day, it takes someone who's knowledgeable in the field. Not everyone's knowledgeable in the field. One thing that's really interesting to know about Ubuntu is its price. I know for a fact that I hate paying for software, and I hate paying for my operating system. I hate paying for my computer. It should be something that we all should get for free, because everyone uses it nowadays, and why not? To be perfectly honest. If I told you right now that Windows 8 came out, no one likes Windows 8, but if you like Windows 8, that's fine. I like Windows 8 too. It costs about $180 to just get not even the upgrade, just like the actual operating system. Ubuntu is free. Ubuntu is something you can go out and download right now, replace Windows with. I'm not saying you should, but it's out there. It's something to keep an eye on, because as it's moving forward and as it's gaining more popularity, people are starting to look at it. A big software house right now called Valve Software has a big distribution for video games called Steam. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. Steam is something that's primarily Windows, and it's primarily something that people go, oh, you need a gaming PC in order to run games off of Steam. The actual software house has been looking into Linux and looking into Ubuntu and saying, hey, you know what? This has potential. We don't really like how Microsoft's been doing their things. Windows 8 doesn't really look like something that's meant for a gamer. So why don't we just take it over to Ubuntu? And that's what they did. They actually took their software and ported it to Ubuntu. And now all these OEMs, which are manufacturers of computer parts, are going, oh, hey, maybe this actually has some use. So you have people like HP, you have people like Dell actually supporting this new operating system. You'll see their prices start to drop because they're not paying the royalty for Windows anymore. They're using Ubuntu, which is free. It's a really big market. It's a really sticky. It's a really slippery slope. And for the end user, switching to something that you don't necessarily look at and go, it's not really something that I'm used to. Why are you changing what I like or don't like but have to use anyway because I've used it multiple times before? It's definitely something it's really something you have to think about. Now, Ubuntu in and of itself was built to meet the needs of many. It was built so that you didn't have to use Windows anymore because the people who built Ubuntu were sick of Windows and wanted people to switch away from Windows. So they built something that was easy for everyone to look at and easy for everyone to get used to. Linux was built for the needs of few. It was built as a separate version of Unix, which is what Mac is using. It was built to be free. It was built to go, hey guys, we can run it without paying all these fees for Apple stuff. And we don't need to worry about people coming up and saying, hey, you can't actually use that and we need to take all your stuff back now. Ubuntu in and of itself right now is a system. It's not a product. It's not maintained by people who have jobs that are paying. And it's not maintained by people that are necessarily interested in the longevity of their software. To quote a guy who wrote an article about this in ACM Communications, which is a geeks magazine, he wrote, "A system is a collection of components put together to do a job." It's not really all that special. It's not really all that clear cut. But a product is a system that has been designed and built to make the work of carrying a job out smooth and natural to the user. Windows looks pretty. Windows behaves pretty. You know how to use Windows. Ubuntu, it looks pretty. It'll take a little bit to use it, but once you get it, it'll be fine, and you'll be fine. Maybe. We don't know. We don't really test this stuff. It's interesting stuff, I'll tell you that. And it takes a lot of guts to switch from comfy, cozy Windows to new and edgy Ubuntu. While it may not be ready for people to take instead of Windows, Ubuntu is very up and coming. Like I've said, it's now with HP and Dell. HP and Dell announced that they want to work with that instead of Windows, which is a big shift in the industry. It's born out of the desire to get something that was easier to use and faster to run. It's like buying lunch at the cafeteria here at Bucks instead of going to running out Chick-fil-A for a meal. The Chick-fil-A meal is tasty, but it's quite a hassle to get, and the price point isn't exactly something you can ignore. While the cafeteria food may not be all that tasty, I still have nightmares about those chicken fingers. But it's affordable, and for the most part, is easy on the eyes. Ubuntu's out there. It's always getting better, and it's something you should keep your eye on for the near future. It's something that eventually will replace Windows, hopefully. We don't test this stuff. So last night, I was browsing Facebook again, and I saw the message again saying, lol, I hate my computer so much. I smiled to myself, and like the geek I am, I replied, mine works fine.